Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the Lincoln Lancaster County Planning Commission of October 16th, 2024. A printed agenda is available outside the hearing room, and a copy of the full agenda, including the staff reports, are available online or at the Planning Department, room 213. The Open Meetings Act is posted just inside the doors at the back of the room. Out of courtesy to those attending this meeting, commissioners and the staff, cell phones may not be used in the chamber during any portion of this meeting. We appreciate your cooperation. Please note, the Planning Commission action today is final on the following items. 1.2, Special Permit 11013D. 1.4, Special Permit 240131. And 1.5, Use Permit 15015A. Any aggrieved person may appeal final action of the Planning Commission to the City Council or the County Board by filing a notice of appeal with the clerk within 14 days following the action of the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission action on all today's items is a recommendation to the City Council or the County Board. The first item of business is the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held October 2nd, 2024.
So moved, Campbell.
Second, Joy.
Campbell,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Ebert,
Yes.
Edens,
Yes.
Fight,
Yes.
Joy,
Yes.
Rodenberg,
Yes.
Ryman Yost.
Abstain.
Minutes approved.
We will now proceed with today's agenda. The next item of business is the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda will be called at the same time and will not be scheduled for a separate public hearing unless there is a request from someone wishing to speak or at the request of a commission member. I will ask Shelley to read all of the consent agenda items into the record. Once those items are read, she will ask if there is anyone here wishing to speak. If you wish to speak on an item on the consent agenda, we would then ask that you would stand and state that item. That item will then be removed from the consent agenda and scheduled as a separate public hearing under Section 3 of today's agenda. All items remaining on the consent agenda will be voted upon in total with a motion for approval. Shelley, will you please call the items on the consent agenda?
Item 1.1, change of zone 2304A to amend the planned unit development to allow uses and signs under the regulations of O3 zoning on property generally located at 2200 South 40th Street. Item 1.2, special permit 11013D to allow for soil excavation for West O soil mining on property generally located at Northwest 63rd and West O Streets, and this is final action. Item 1.3, special permit 17022C to amend the Dominion at Stevens Creek CUP Community Unit Plan to remove the previously approved 440 multifamily units and replace them with 130 attached townhome units and 18 single-family attached dwellings and associated waivers on property generally located at North 105th Street and Wyborough Lane. Item 1.4, special permit 24031 to manufacture firearms on property generally located at 3200 North 20th Street. This is final action. Item 1.5, use permit 15015A to amend the existing use permit 15015 to allow a 7,500 square foot addition to an existing building on site, increasing the total allowed floor area within the use permit to 21,521 square feet on property generally located at 1415 South Old Farm Road, and this is also final action. Are there any ex parte communications to be disclosed on these items?
No.
Are there any ex parte communications that took place or additional information you learned while visiting these sites to be disclosed?
No, there's not.
If there is anyone here wishing to speak on these consent agenda items, please stand and state that item.
Okay, we don't see anyone here who would like to speak on the consent agenda, so we will now entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
I would move to approve the consent agenda, Campbell.
Second, Joy.
Shelley?
Campbell,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Ebert,
Yes.
Edens,
Yes.
Fight,
Yes.
Joy,
Yes.
Rodenberg,
Yes.
Ryman Yost.
Yes.
Consent agenda approved, 8-0.
I will now ask Shelley to call the request for deferral.
We have received written communication on behalf of the applicant requesting that item 2.1 change of zone 21020B, which is to amend the south of downtown planned unit development to create a sub-area 2, allowing a neighborhood support service use on property generally located at 1145 E Street, to be placed on hold at this time until further notice.
So moved, Campbell.
Second, Joy.
Campbell,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Ebert,
Yes.
Edens,
Yes.
Fight,
Yes.
Joy,
Yes.
Rodenberg,
Yes.
Ryman Yost.
Yes.
Approved, 8-0.
Is there anyone here today who does wish to speak on that application? Okay. Then we will now proceed to public hearing. Prior to staff making a brief presentation, each staff person should state their name, agency, and address. The applicant will then be requested to present his or her testimony, followed by those who wish to testify in support, followed by those who wish to testify in opposition. The staff will then be given an opportunity to respond to the testimony, and then the applicant shall have an opportunity for rebuttal. If during your testimony you have copies of documents or materials you would like distributed to the Planning Commission members and/or included as part of the record, please provide them to the clerk. Each person testifying should state their name and address and shall have 5 minutes to speak unless additional time is requested and granted. The clerk will use the light system to help aid your timing in your testimony. The lights will appear on the monitors provided. The clerk will indicate when you have 1 minute remaining to wrap up your testimony. The red light indicates that your 5 minutes has expired, and once the final minute has lapsed, the clerk will indicate that your time is up. The Planning Commission will vote immediately at the close of the public hearing unless the commission votes to defer action or to continue the public hearing. Shelley, please call the first public hearing item.
Item 4.1A, Annexation 24009 to annex approximately 36.59 acres on property generally located at Northwest 48th Street and West Holdridge Street. This is associated with item 4.1B, change of zone 24025 from AG Agricultural to R5 Residential Plan Unit Development and B2 Planned Neighborhood Business District, PUD, containing a mix of mini warehouse and residential uses with exceptions to the zoning and subdivision ordinances and design standards, also on property generally located in Northwest 48th Street and West Holdridge Street. Are there any ex parte communications to be disclosed on these applications?
Yes.
Me first?
Go ahead, Gloria.
Yeah, I spoke to a daughter of one of the landowners in the annex property, basically just about general annexation, what happens in that process. And I see that he's here today, so we're good.
Okay.
And on my weekly radio show, I interviewed one of the developers of the builders about affordable homes and smaller homes, and this topic came up.
Are there any ex parte communications that took place or additional information you learned while visiting any of this site to be disclosed?
And no on that one.
Emma Martin, Planning Department, 555 South 10th Street. This is a combined request to approve the change of zone, a change of zone from agricultural zoning to R5 residential PUD and B2 neighborhood business district PUD. Over approximately 32 acres for the PUD and approximately 37 acres for the annexation. The planned unit development, or PUD, will include 206 dwelling units and up to 280,000 square feet of mini warehouse space. The applicant has also requested waivers to the design standards and land subdivision and zoning ordinances for the R5 PUD area. And on the screen, this is the area of annexation, proposed annexation. And this is the area of the proposed PUD change of zone, with the split from agricultural to B2 and agricultural to R5 shown here. The 2050 comprehensive plan supports the creation of safe and affordable housing with a variety of housing types. And this PUD does focus on the creation of small homes on small lots, which aids in the effort to expand affordable housing options. The development is also within a 15-minute walk of Lincoln Northeast High School, which helps to meet another goal of the comprehensive plan, which is providing complete neighborhoods with, where residents are within 15 minutes of, among other things, quality public schools. With this PUD, the applicant has requested waivers for the R5 area of the project, which is shown here, which largely focus on the lot sizes and the setbacks. The waivers to reduce the minimum lot area, width, and depth are justified due to the reduced lot and dwelling unit size, and the waivers to reduce the setbacks within the R5 area are generally acceptable. However, the increase in the maximum height from 35 to 45 feet is not appropriate, as no justification was required, was provided, excuse me. Waivers to the parking receive conditional approval so long as parking does within the development does not interfere with the public right-of-way. But the request to reduce the width of the private roadways received a recommendation of denial due to emergency response requirements, including Lincoln Fire and Rescue. Several waivers were not required and thus received no recommendation. Due to the unique layout that has been created to accommodate the smaller single-family lots, further discussion and review is required to solidify the locations of utilities, sidewalks, water, sanitary sewer, and along with their corresponding easements. But generally, the PUD will receive sanitary sewer service from the south of the development here, which will be built by LTU to reach the development. Internal services will be discussed further into the process. Water will be extended from the existing line in West Holdridge. And access to the PUD will be provided via 2 public streets off of West Holdridge and 1 public street off of Northwest 40th Street. These are the 2 public streets off of West Holdridge and Northwest 40th down here. Internal vehicular circulation will be a mix of public streets and private roadways. And while there are a number of changes that need to be made to the names of the public streets and private roads to meet city and emergency response standards, those should have little impact on the actual development and the streets. Along with this PUD is the annexation request. The annexation includes approximately 37 acres to cover the proposed PUD area, a portion of the Northwest 40th Street right-of-way, and 3 additional lots, as shown here. The 3 additional lots were added to the proposed annexation by the planning department after a review of the request and due to Policy 80 of the comprehensive plan. Policy 80 states that land that is completely surrounded by the city should be annexed, and if the PUD area and the Northwest 40th Street right-of-way are annexed, the 3 additional lots right here will be surrounded by the city of Lincoln. All of the land, additionally, all of the land within the proposed annexation is within Tier 1 Priority A of the Future Service Limit Map within the comprehensive plan, and Tier 1 Priority A land includes areas that are outside of the city limits that will have immediate infrastructure upon annexation and serve as the future urban areas of the city of Lincoln. And it is appropriate to annex land within this Priority A tier immediately if a preliminary plan is approved. The annexation of the 3 additional properties will provide access to future city infrastructure to these properties, including water and sanitary sewer services, and remove any potential jurisdictional confusion with emergency services. And to conclude, the development of smaller homes with the accompanying small lots is a positive for the city and county. Small homes enhance the city of Lincoln's stock and give more options to current and future residents. The annexation and PUD do meet the 2050 comprehensive plan elements, goals, and policies, and encourage creative solutions to housing in the city of Lincoln. Are there any questions?
Emma, in the center of the to be annexed area, there's a tree grouping, yes.
Yes.
Is that a ravine?
Not sorry, I'm not entirely sure if it's a ravine, but is shown to be within, part of it at least is shown to be within the conservation easement, and will be used for stormwater detention.
Thank you.
Yes, the issue on the width of the street, has that been resolved?
The width of the private streets, it is under discussion. There have been discussions regarding how to handle that, whether they'll be viewed instead as private roads that are somewhat similar to alleys that have private roadway standards, but have enough clear space for fire trucks and other emergency vehicles to be within and to access these properties. But that is something that will be discussed further during further reviews of this project, and will meet emergency standards, Lincoln Fire and Rescue standards, and the design standards of the city.
Would that come back before us after being resolved?
I do not believe so. No.
No questions at this time? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we'll have testimony from the applicant.
Good afternoon. Tim Gergen, Clark and Anderson, 1010 Lincoln Mall. Here with me is Kelly with Nebraska Cottage, as well as one of the builders. It's a complicated project, but very unique in its form, and proud to have this be added to the city of Lincoln. Small houses is, the codes aren't really written with city of Lincoln for small houses in mind. We have to do a lot of variances, as you can see with the staff report, a lot of conditions. We've read through those and cooperating with the city of Lincoln on all the conditions. We have one that we're going to amend here after Kelly explains a little bit further on this. But as you can see, our development right now, we're having a PUD because we're calling out for commercial, either commercial or apartments in this corner. Right now, we feel the area is a little green for commercial apartments, so we're going to just let that wait a little bit and come back to the city planning department when we have more details on that corner. The other part is the small house component, and that's what Kelly's here to talk about today. And that's where we really are wanting to proceed with right away on. And I'll let Kelly kind of take it away with this approach on these cottages.
I'll give my address first, 15101 Bennett Road, Bennett, Nebraska. Kelly Langer, Langer. I'm passionate about small houses. About 10 years ago, I had a person in the room who was equally passionate about it, and he believed in me and got me started. And in Village Gardens, we did 24 small houses. This is not loosely based. This is 100% based on my experience there. Learned a lot there, learned what people wanted, learned really who our market is. Our market is first-time home buyers and last home buyers. I'm in my middle 60s. I see people like me going into those houses and people buying their first home going into these houses. Now, that doesn't disqualify everybody in between, but when you have a house that's 1,000 square feet or smaller, you know, that is what it is. And so we're quite excited about having this product to offer, and we're working with, we're partnering with a lot of other people. We've actually talked with NeighborWorks. Nothing's formalized, but we've had discussions ongoing with them. They're going to help us in knowing who our market is, and they're also going to help us on the commercial side of things when we go to develop that. They're going to help us decide, well, what kind of services, what kind of stores, what do people in that area want? And we're going to take that approach, and they're going to help us with that. And so we're really excited about partnering with them. And finally, I just kind of want to say that the city, everybody I've met with, wow, they didn't just pull a book out and say, oh, whatever point 2 says, you can't do that. They would pull it out and say, whatever point 2 says, this is how we've done it. Let's see if we can do something together to modify that. And I think that's really outstanding. I've lived in Lincoln since '78, and it's why I never moved away. I lived in 25 residences in 8 states in my life. But my first house was on North 63rd Street, the first house I ever bought, right by Northeast High. It was 800 square foot, no basement, and we still drive by it all the time just to make sure that somebody's taking care of it.
Nice.
So I've been passionate about little houses for a long time.
And so with that, Emma was talking about our flexibility, especially with Lincoln Fire and Rescue as we continue our discussions. We definitely want to be accommodating to all life safety. We want to propose an amendment to condition 2.38 to amend the language, the typical private roadway cross sections and private roadways to show 20 foot of pavement as required by Lincoln Fire and Rescue. So what we're just adding is by Lincoln Fire and Rescue at the end of that comment, condition. We want to give that our flexibility, keep working with Lincoln Fire and Rescue to determine that exact pavement width on those private alleys or private roadways. And with that, we'll take any questions you may have.
On the discussion about the height, the 35 to 45, is that something that you want to explore in that discussion that's in the future for the?
Well, no, I think after discussing with Kelly, we're okay with 35-foot height, and what we're going to find out is the airport zoning is probably going to keep us down at that height anyway. So
Excellent.
We're fine with that.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yes.
Tim, can you put the map back up of the planned layout? On block 3, hasn't come up yet. On block 3, you've got lots 1 through 7. Why are you not doing a lot 8 on the?
You're talking right here.
Yep.
We may expand that out. This one of the comments as we're going through. Not only we have planning department, most importantly, building and safety with the conditions to make sure our fire rating is okay on these homes. We might put a little bit more space in between those units, and so that lot 7 is going to get a little bit closer. So we would not be able to get lot 8 in there, but lot 7, 1 through 7 will probably be spaced a little bit further apart, and will take up that space.
Oh,
And my other comment is the fact that we worked with Kelly on Village Gardens to bring about the the cottages, which were hugely popular. And he did a great job in doing that as well as some other areas.
Can you hit the zoom in on that map?
yeah,
A couple,
yeah.
I think there's just a plus button on there or something.
Oh boy.
Yeah, there. Ah.
Beautiful.
I think, Dick, you were
We're
talking.
both leaning over here squinting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, now that it is Zoom, do you have a question?
I do not.
Okay, you just needed
That was
to,
my, I just needed to see what they were talking about.
okay, great.
I love it.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. I just want to make sure if you had something, we'd get it addressed. All right, so it's 2.38 is what you are suggesting amending,
Correct.
and the rest of all the other conditions are agreeable.
That's correct.
Okay. All right.
Tim, has the planning department seen that change you desire yet?
They have.
Okay.
As always with most applications, they always come down to the last minute.
Yeah.
I have not heard whether they're in support of that or not, but I believe they are, Dick.
Okay.
I do have a question.
Okay.
Yeah.
On that map you show, you're
Okay.
paving to West Holdridge, or you're paving to where? Is that
Yes.
the, what, northwest
So,
Chitwood Lane or
well,
whatever? it is?
let's,
Sorry,
let me get the overall map here.
because that's all a dirt road, that whole corner, right? Yeah, don't do it that much, I'm squinting again.
So we have Northwest 48th here,
Yeah,
Northwest 40th here. Right now, this is Chitwood Lane. It is
Right.
paved to approximately this location, and what we would be proposing is to pave it to this location.
and then what about your other exit, because that's a dirt road as well?
On Northwest 40th,
Uh-huh.
yes, it would be just exiting onto the
Gravel.
the existing
Okay.
gravel road. But we would be setting up our road so that it would be set up at the same elevation as with Northwest 40 does get paved.
Okay.
And that piece is paved.
Yes, this piece will be paved.
Excellent, thank you.
Additional
Thank you.
questions for the applicant at this time? All right.
All right, thank you.
Talk to you. All right, thank you. All right, at this time, we will take testimony in support of this application. If there's anyone here who'd like to testify in support? Is there anyone here who would like to testify in a neutral capacity? All right, is there anyone here who wishes to testify in opposition to this application? Okay, come up one at a time. Then just start with your name and address, and then you'll have 5 minutes.
Would you go to one of the mics, either one?
What?
Either
Go to
one.
one of the mics, either one.
Go here?
No.
Right
Oh,
over
either
here.
one.
Was that a mic?
Oh,
There's a mic right there.
I thought you were in between them.
No, see, we just need to be able to hear you. You're fine. It's all good.
So sorry.
Okay. My name is Barbara Erickson, and I live at 3900 West Holdridge Street, Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm opposing the Planning Commission's recommendations to make a portion of the Northwest 40th Street city property in the annexation 24009. My husband and I have purchased 10.5 acres of land in August of 1980 out there, and we knew that it was it was out in the country, surrounded by city at that time, because we had airport authority rules, and we abided by them. We have lived here for over 44 years, and we always had 2 access county roads to our residence at West Holdridge Street, and it was Northwest 40th Street until 2018. And in 2018, the city annexed West Holdridge Street, which changed the road maintenance for us in the winter months. And my 44 years of nursing career required me to be on call during the week and on weekends. And I had to live always within 30 minutes of the hospital for emergency procedures for trauma and for cardiac patients. And in the winter months, the snow drifts would get so big on West Holdridge Street that it would be difficult to drive until the road was cleared by the road crew. Well, I called the Department of Roads in 2018, not knowing that the city had bought the road. And I was told that there needed to be 5 inches of snowfall before the city crew would clear the road. And sometimes that took 2 days for the drifts to be cleared. So Northwest 40th was always cleared in less than 24 hours. It was a county road. The county people were always out there. Had no difficulty getting to work. The county maintenance crews were prompt in keeping the roads cleared for bus routes and for our rural fire departments. They were awesome. I could drive 2 miles of gravel county roads in the winter months and get to work before my city coworkers could. So the intersection of Northwest 40th Street and West Holdridge is very dangerous. You're coming up from a hill from the south, and there's a blind corner on West Holdridge Street from the west, or in the west direction. And he's saying he's going to put in 200 and some residents there. The Department of Roads have been alerted many times about this intersection. I have a 30 by 40 steel building, which is over 200 feet from this intersection on Northwest 40th and West Holdridge. And it was driven into in June by a speeding drunk driver, and he totaled my pickup, which was inside the building. And the insurance company totaled my pickup, and I am just now getting the building rebuilt right now. So that is a very dangerous intersection. There is heavy traffic during the week on these county roads and the city roads, which include 18-wheeler dirt haulers and farming equipment such as combines and semi-grain trucks. Annexing Northwest 40th Street would make the road maintenance less efficient for my location because I would no longer have a county road to travel south on from my property. The increase in traffic is also a great concern for this location. Also, the PUD recommendation states that the developer is not required to pave the portion of Northwest 40th that is going to be annexed in this situation. Another reason for my opposition of annexation, I would like Northwest 40th Street to remain a county road. Thank you. Any questions?
Are there any questions? All right, thank you very much. Additional testimony in opposition?
Y'all gotta bear with me. I'm menopausal. This is rough. I'm not used to speaking in front of a crowd. Okay.
We're nice, I promise.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just nervous. Don't start my tongue in. I'm getting there. My name is Kelly Livingood, and I reside at 4201 West Holdred Street. So can you just give me a second?
Yeah.
Is that okay? I'm nervous.
Your time.
Thanks. I'm clearly opposed to being annexed into the city for a number of reasons. First and foremost, this will have a severe negative impact on our finances personally. I'm certain you've heard this many times before, but it is not common for us. We've had a very limited income. We moved to the country to accommodate the financial needs of my business. I don't know if you've heard of me, but I am a known shop here inside of Nebraska and outside. I've worked very hard night and day to establish and create a job that I love and that serves my community and those beyond Nebraska borders. I am simply stating this because it shows how large of a scale this will hit us negatively in taxes on both personal and my business. It's a huge number when you break it all down. The store is large. If you look at the sitting planning spreadsheet that you've been given, the two buildings on ours, the second building is actually greater than our property or our residence. It is a 6-stall garage with 3 openings, 2 large garage doors, 1 2-stall, 1 1-stall, and then a middle door, which opens to my main part of my shop. The store is licensed by the state. It is not a workshop. I rehab very large pieces of furniture. And I also sell all the decor and everything that's included. So it is a large business. This will affect my customer base as well because they know that there are lesser fees and taxes associated with my store. It also affects my customers and why they come. If you do read Google reviews, online, marketplace, etc., they state that people come here not only for my furniture, but for the animals and our farm. The whole shop works in tandem with our livestock and our land. They come for the peace. I even had customers bring their dying relatives out here because of our animals and the peace that our residents gives them. This is more than just my business. This is a lifestyle that we've created for just not ourselves, but for those that I serve. This will be taken not only from me, but from my customers as well. Next, we are self-sustaining, and we have no need whatsoever to be forced into city water and well water. The current hybrid system that we have costs us over $40,000. The amount of money that it will force us to take upon getting city and well water will ruin our finances, to be honest. It's literally impossible for us to come up with. We've bumped heads as much as we can in the 7 days that we were even given notice about all of this happening, trying to find how to make this grievous amount of money, which we were told by wastewater it would be upwards in the amount of $15,000 to $20,000 just for wastewater alone, $8,000 in permits for city water, not including what it would cost to hook up to that as well. We were told as a whole upwards between $30,000 to $40,000. Trying to put a son in college. We can't afford that. We've tried putting equity to see if we had equity in our home to make this happen. Also not possible. And we fall into the brackets where we were told that there is availability for low-income housing, but we don't qualify for that. But we're also not wealthy enough to qualify in the upper bracket to pay for it. So we're stuck in that middle section that really puts us in the worst position. Third, I wanted to keep the property that I've invested in this country simply because we depend upon our livestock and our animals as a source for our food to offset the income issues that we have, as well as high inflation costs. Our food bill is really low because we are able to source our own meat, eggs, everything from our property. It's of huge benefit. We're also afraid for our livestock. When the city approaches, it's a lot of crime. We've already had issues with people coming onto our property, calling our animals down. We have pet turkeys, believe it or not, and they follow you everywhere, and you can come pet them, and they're very loving, but people are now calling them off of our property and trying to get them to come off of, into the city. We've had a couple animals that did not make it from that happening. which is devastating to us. Last, I would like to address how storage facilities could negatively hurt us. We have a storage unit for my furniture overflow, and it carries with it crime. There are people running down the gate constantly whenever they get locked out of their units for non-payment. They will run the gate out to get to their stuff. They break into those things. The owner of that facility has also stated it has constant issues with homelessness, getting the units as a place to reside, which brings forth issues for personal safety and an uptick in crime, as well as safety of my family and my business. There are already 2 large facilities in that area, storage units, facilities. I don't understand the need for more, let alone at such a large capacity right next to us. This will affect traffic and safety, as Barb noted, and for our farm animals, our children, and my customers. The amount of flow from the building across the street is terrible already. The semis barreling down the road at gross speeds, new traffic, kids whipping cookies down the road, almost hitting kids, our animals, ourselves. Not to mention the fact that we've had to put up a fence, like a temporary fence, just to keep our animals from being stolen and coerced into the neighborhood.
Sorry, are you
That's good.
close to wrapping up or at
I'm
time?
done. I just want to thank you for your time and your patience.
No, thank you very much. Do
Do you
people
have
have
any
questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Gary Faust. I live at 1425 Northwest 40th, and I'm also in opposition to annexation 24009. I lived in the same spot for the last 50 years, and in 2019 my house burnt down and built a new house in the same spot. And that pretty much took care of my retirement. I have a pole building, 40 by 60 pole building I use for just hobbies. That's where I spend my days. And just about everything I have is in the property. And I'm not sure that I could, bear the cost of the sewer and water and whatnot. Anyway, I've lived in the country now most of my life. And I just think it's too late for change now. And I don't know, I just don't want to be left, annexed into the city. And I don't know, I have some of the same, concerns as the other two. And I just think that at this stage of my life, it's just going to be too much. I'd just like to stay there till I'm done. And that's about all I have.
Questions? Thank you very much. All right, is there anyone else here who would like to speak in opposition? Come forward.
My name is Ian Moreland. I own the corner lot there at 1445 Northwest 40th. I guess I have a lot of the same concerns. I don't reside on the residence, but I've owned that lot. I use it for storage for business purposes. I own a sign shop here in town. So I have concerns about, any stuff with the storage units and the crime and that kind of stuff. And another thing too, with that gravel not being paved around that other corner, I'm concerned with the extra traffic going through there and the problems that would cause going around that corner, that blind corner there, as well as all the extra dust and all that going on with the not being paved there. So I guess one of the main reasons that I bought that property originally was it was kind of on the edge of town, so I enjoy that aspect of it. So that's kind of how I feel about that. I guess I oppose it, and I don't have any desire for any utilities or anything that way, any extra expenses that may cause. Maybe it won't because there's no house out there, so. But either way, I oppose it, so.
Questions?
Not for me.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there any additional testimony on this application? All right, we'll now move on to staff questions. Emma? Hey. I would like to just start with asking you first about the proposed amendment on item 2.38.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can comment on the city's position.
The city is in support of it. It will allow for flexibility in regards to the solution to the private roadways that are smaller and allow for more creative solutions to that.
Okay. Now we can move on to the other things. Yes.
I want for you to explain how properties that are existing, how it works with annexation where water and sewer is concerned.
Okay, so when when a property is annexed by the city of Lincoln, it is not required to hook up to water. It is required that sanitary sewer be connected if a residence is within 300 feet of a sanitary sewer line, and it must be done within 6 months of the notification by either the health department or Lincoln Transportation and Utilities.
So would these two properties fall under that?
It is likely, yes, it is. Excuse me for a second. So yes, 4201 would fall within the sanitary sewer line. As you can see here, there's that connection right here, and that is approximately 300 feet. It is also, still have to look into a little bit further whether, 1425 is within 300 feet, although it does seem that the residence is within 300 feet of a sanitary sewer connection.
The house is closer to Northwest 40th.
Oh.
That's the house, the other one.
Yes, that's right. I apologize. Sorry. We will have to continue to look into that. This home here, not home, there is no residence on there, so there's no connection required at this time. But if if a residence is built within 300 feet of a sanitary sewer connection in the future and it is annexed, it will need to connect.
Okay.
Emma, with the sewer, my understanding has always been that if they have a septic system, they can stay on their septic system until it fails, and then they are required to hook up. Has that changed?
I believe so. Yes, that has changed. Not entirely sure when. I apologize, but yes.
Okay, and secondly, you used to be, if you had farm animals and such, you used to be able to keep them until they passed away or whatever, before you could, otherwise you could keep them and function. Is that correct?
I believe that is still the case, although that is something the health department will need to speak to. We can reach out to the health department and discuss that with them.
Okay. That's been the situation in the past.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that having changed.
Okay.
Okay, additional questions?
I believe on a previous annexation, it was explained that the hookup to the water or the sewer can be, the payment plan can be deferred or something worked out. So it's not all at once.
That is something that Bob Simmering from LTU could provide insight on.
No.
Bob Simmering, LTU 945 West Bond. I'm not aware of a financing program for those. There may be something that I am not aware of, but I've not heard of that.
So just to clarify, because Bailey left this question with me,
Okay.
once they got that notice, they would have 6 months, presumably, to come up with the funds for that connection.
Steve Hendrickson with the Planning Department, 555 South 10th Street. So maybe I think perhaps what we've talked about in previous annexations is that if, for instance, we have an annexation of an acreage subdivision and somebody comes in and wants to connect their house, and a new sewer line is going to be gone past a bunch of houses. That is often done by an assessment district where, yes, the cost is assessed over a 15-year period. So in this particular circumstance, the cost that would be involved to the individual on West Holdridge, for example, first, the sewer line does have to be built. So day one upon annexation, the development hasn't happened yet. There's no sewer line to hook to either of the two houses that are there. So you have to wait until the sewer line is actually constructed by the developer. And then at some point during the course of a year, LTU goes through to see what were the annexations, to see if there's sewer lines that have been built and houses that qualify. So it's not like it's an automatic that there's somebody in the city who immediately notifies the health department that a house has come up within it. Dick is correct that in the past, often health waited till there was a problem, but the strict reading of the ordinance doesn't say wait until there's a problem. So staff have adjusted their position to say, well, once it's within 300 feet and you can physically connect to it. So the person does have to pay a plumber to run the sewer line. It's already probably going out the back of their house over to this new sewer line in the case of the resident on West Holdridge Street. That's a minor cost. The wastewater impact fee, the fees are not $8,000 permit fees. The wastewater impact fee is $1,300 today. The main cost is that their lot is 300 feet wide. And so the main cost that was quoted is a connection fee to help pay back that 300 feet. And if you were subdividing this 300-foot wide lot into 5 lots, let's say of 50 feet wide, you could spread that cost over your 5 lots. She's not proposing, nor it sounds like has any interest in subdividing her property. So I think one thing that we have already talked to about with Kelly is that perhaps if an existing house connected up to the sewer line, that connection fee would not be required. But however, if somebody subdivides their property, and certainly the house that's on Northwest 40th, it's a very large property. It could be subdivided, as shown here, into 10 lots in the future when that owner wanted to sell and have the property subdivided. So again, that would only be fair that if you're having 9 or 10 new houses, that you help pay for the sewer line that they got there. But certainly, that's one thing we'll discuss between now and the City Council is for existing houses. Is that something that there could be some give on that for the existing houses? But certainly it is only fair if property is subdivided that it'd help pay the cost of getting the sewer line there.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. All right, additional questions for staff? Yes.
When you were toggling through your computer, you had up the areas that, the map that showed ag and the zoning in the city of Lincoln?
Yes.
Okay, so across 48th Street is all city of Lincoln?
Yes, and West Holdridge is within, up to Northwest 40th Street is within the city of Lincoln as well. And across the street is also city of Lincoln.
So all of that's now city of Lincoln?
Yeah, and I can show you a bit better on the aerials potentially.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That's what I was wondering.
Here is the limits of that area. So the lighter yellow is county, and the grayish is city of Lincoln.
Okay, so across the road is city of Lincoln, but to the east is still
county.
So just a question, as we're working through all these comments, could that remain not in the city of Lincoln for now until across the road on 40th becomes the city of Lincoln
Well-
versus Lancaster County.
So this portion of Northwest 40th Street, by the request of the county engineer, is being proposed to be annexed. So,
Section, not all the way down?
no, just this section here, from here to West Holdridge, proposed to be annexed as part connecting to West Spooner, because in the future, part of the annexation and why the Northwest 40th Street isn't being paved or being required to be paved at this time is because the connections on West Holdridge are likely to see the most traffic. That is where people are likely going to go to and from. And this is just looking into the future when there will need to be a connection to Northwest 40th Street, which will then be in the future paved, and as will the rest of West Holdridge to meet city standards. Because currently, portion of West Holdridge is also gravel, as you can see here. So
Right, yeah, I've driven it.
that is the reasoning behind, a part of the reasoning behind the annexation of these three properties is because Northwest 40th Street is also being annexed. And at that point, these three will be a spot of county in the middle, surrounded on all sides by the city.
But do we have to annex that
Yeah, do we
road?
have to do 40th Street? Can we wait?
You can out. That'd be great. And switch it back over to the air photo.
Thank you.
Zoom out
Yeah.
a little bit more.
Perfect.
So there's a couple of things going on here. One, Lincoln Northwest, which shows up as purple, is in the city limits. And if you actually look at the area, sorry, Emma. So actually, the area over here is Falcon Corner,
Okay.
an annexation that is currently on hold. And all of this area between Northwest 56th and Northwest 48th is approved for development, is approved for commercial zoning that would be associated with students probably coming out of Lincoln Northwest or other commercial industrial uses. And so when this area comes forward and Falcon Corner, this entire area then is actually 100% surrounded by the city limits. So on one hand, the city within a year might have this entire area surrounded. Because if you look at it to the south along West O Street's in the city limits, the airport is in the city limits, Arnold Heights is in the city limits. So everything between Northwest 48th Street all the way over to Northwest 27th Street would be surrounded 100% by the city limits. And so even the property on the east side of Northwest 40th Street would also be annexed. So that's the bigger picture of this area's probably going to be annexed within a few years anyhow. But the question about Northwest 40th was simply, we'd be annexing a little bit part of Northwest 40th as we're required by state law. When you annex the land by state law, you're required to annex the adjacent county right-of-way. So rather than having part of Northwest, the intersection, by the way, of Northwest 40th and West Holdridge is in the city limits. But once you get south of it, you're out of it, then you'd be in it, and then you'd be back out of it. So that's complications for the city and the county engineer to work out who's maintaining what, as well as just simply for Lincoln Fire and Rescue, as the houses around it get built, you have 3 houses that wouldn't be in the city limits. So you'd have to, yes, with the GIS, you can keep track of a lot of things, but if you're a person out there responding to an emergency, you'd have to remember that no, actually, those 3 houses are actually still in the rural fire department. They're still sheriff. They're not city of Lincoln. So certainly with annexation, questions come up. This is well over a month until it would be before the city council. We'll continue to try to work with the developer and the 3 property owners to help answer questions. But definitely there is not a required connection to water, even if a water line comes within 300 feet. The main question is the sewer. And certainly we understand today you're not paying city property taxes, tomorrow you would be. That's an increase in cost, but that is a cost of part of being in the city, and all of the citizens of Lincoln share the same kind of costs. And so in this case, just to get to the houses today, you already drive on city streets to get to these 3 properties. There's no way to get to them with really not being inside of on a city road already.
So I have just a couple more rural questions. So from the standpoint of the livestock, because that's still adjacent to ag, except I understand the county wants the road to be maintained by the city. So I'm struggling as the rural representative, and I understand the rules and those types of things, but that ag still being associated with ag, all in that block, even if it's another year, or a little bit more time, I'm probably still having some angst about that as the rural representative of that ag area being annexed with the city, then enforced with different livestock rules. So is that the same? Is that what's going to happen?
As was asked, I'm not aware that the health department has changed their rules in terms of grandfathering animals. So I think that is still the case. We will verify that that is the case, but I think that hasn't changed. In other words, if your property only allows one horse and you have two horses, they're not so cruel as to make you get rid of the one horse, or if it's other livestock items. This will not be changing the zoning of the property, so the zoning of the property remains AG. I don't know if that takes into account in terms of the health requirements with the animals. But certainly, this area has been shown for development. Development is coming. There'll be development, I should note, even east of Northwest 40th Street as well. So the property north of West Holdridge, east of Northwest 40th is shown for future development, and there's been discussions about that in the past as well. So yes, this entire area is going to continue to see more development and urbanization. And yes, unfortunately, sometimes that does come with, there's a few houses that are already out there and went out there for the lifestyle, and unfortunately that lifestyle does change.
Perfect. Thank you for clarifying.
Additional staff questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. We'll now move to applicant rebuttal.
Not necessarily rebuttal, but just some additional information. Development is sometimes fast, and in most cases it's painfully slow, meticulous. This development, even though we're before you here today, we would not probably see construction until next year. We probably wouldn't see any sort of final platting until this time next year, so fall home construction. And given this type of development, it's going to be multiple phases. Our sanitary sewer comes from the south, so we will be building from the south to the north. So it could be, by the time we get city infrastructure to the three parcels that are budding, could be 4 to 5 years from today. So it's not going to happen overnight. And it's not going to happen even next year. It's going to happen quite some time. So just some food for some thought for that.
Okay. And then question for connecting in that 5-year plan or multiple year plan. So that'll come then with just using your expert opinion, come from.
So the most ideal phasing, sanitary sewer is going to come up the draw and come over. And so our phasing might be something, this would be phase 1, and then this would be phase 2. Still would be outside the 300 foot.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that.
Thanks,
Oh, that's okay.
I had you zooming in and now. Whole thing. I have a question.
So phase
Yeah,
one,
go ahead.
phase two.
Did you guys meet with these specifically two families? I know the one guy owns property
I did not
as well.
personally, but I believe the landowner, who's not here today, may have called the parcels, the property owners.
Additional questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would move to close the public hearing.
Second, Joy?
Campbell,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Ebert,
Yes.
Edens,
Yes.
Joy,
Yes.
Rodenberg,
Yes.
Ryman Yost.
Yes.
Public hearing closed.
And I'd move to approve annexation 24009.
Second, Joy?
All right, let's have
my-
some discussion.
Yeah, my reasoning behind it is that even though they've been there for quite a while, I think there's things with the health department in place that will allow the farm animals to stay through their lives. It will reduce over time, there's no question about that. And as the city continues to grow around them, it will be more difficult to keep the farm animals there. So that may change that aspect in the future. And again, the way it's been explained that it's probably 4 to 5 years down the road before things happen, and that there's some potential of not paying a sewer connection fee to still be negotiated between the applicants and the homeowners. I think between the planning department and the applicant and the residential homeowners, that some things can be developed before it gets to the city council, and to aid them in their when and if they have to connect.
Right. Go next.
I'm excited to see small houses built anywhere. I think it's a missing middle. I think it's so the project in whole, I really like. I think it's wrong that when we annex property that we're socking a homeowner with thousands of dollars. I replaced my sewer line, it was 150 feet, cost me $15,000. So to say that's not a lot, that was devastating to me. And I know these type of people are living in the same economic class as me. So how do we right size annexing property that should be annexed by everything I can see with a $15,000 to $20,000 or more, because it's going to be about 300 feet, and existing things that are already there, her livestock and her shop, and which are all not allowed within city limits. I don't know the right answer on how to right size that. But the project as a whole, I'm in support of, and I think it's the right area and the right thing. It's the annexation of 2 property owners that didn't say, hey, I want city sewer. How do you fix that? And I always will suggest that people who are developing next to properties that already exist, reach out to those people and have a conversation, so we're not trying to answer questions here.
Right.
It's important, and it makes a difference to me, and it makes a difference to people sitting on this board.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Well, as a realtor, I feel the need for not only housing in general, but affordable housing every day. And this fits both categories. And I applaud previous administrations and the planning department. First house I bought in Lincoln, I was told, I think by my insurance carrier, that if the house burnt down, to keep a portion of the house, because I can rebuild, but my lot was not of the size that I could build a house on. So if it was completely torn down, destroyed, I could not build a house on that lot. In the meantime, they have changed the requirements that allow for smaller houses on smaller lots. And this is a perfect example of what can happen to the betterment of our housing shortage. So I'm in favor of this project.
I thought that Steve and Emma did a great job of explaining for me to help with the angst I have as a rural representative. I like how you explained that the county engineer has said to have the road be annexed. I think that'll help a lot in the snow removal and erase some of those issues that we're talking about with who's managing what road and maybe a road getting left out. So I really appreciate that concept. I'm with my fellow commissioner on how do we help people as we make this transition with development, because this is where Lincoln is going. We're going to continue to move this direction. We've already been told of the other developments in the works, and we'll be building up against the airport. And so those, I'm definitely very much in support of this project. I love the tiny house, small house concept. I'm a big believer in that and have been for the last 25, 30 years. And I do want us to look pretty intensely also into how to manage existing livestock in a transition zone that's in the city, but still zoned AG. So maybe that's something we can talk with the department about in city council and work through that. But from what I understand from all of the different recommendations from departments and the county engineer, as I sit here as the rural representative, it is very clear to me that this is where staff and the county wants this to be managed from a road condition standpoint, so I will be supporting the annexation also.
Additional discussion. I will just echo again with my fellow commissioners the importance of this development of new, affordable, small housing close to a school. That is very exciting. But I do also agree with the concerns around the costs and the communication and opportunity to answer questions and plan with existing property owners. And it's always easier to get excited about a project when those things have already been addressed. So I think moving forward, that's just the recommendation that we continue to look at, as you have said, too, figuring out how we're going to manage these transitions. All right, Shelley.
Campbell.
Yes.
Cruz.
Yes.
Ebert.
Yes.
Edens.
Yes.
Joy.
Yes.
Rodenberg.
Yes.
Ryman Yost.
Yes.
Approved 7-0.
And I would move to approve change of zone 24025.
Second, Joy? Does that have to be?
Yes. With the, are you suggesting
I,
that?
with the, thank you, with the developers, or with the developers' recommended amendment to the planning department's amendments,
Conditions of approval 2.38.
yes.
Okay.
Second, I confirm my second on that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Campbell.
Yes.
Cruz.
Yes.
Ebert.
Yes.
Edens.
Yes.
Joy.
Yes.
Rodenberg.
Yes.
Ryman Yost.
Yes.
Approved 7-0.
All right. At this time, anyone who wishes to speak on an item that is not on today's agenda may do so.
I would move that we adjourn.
Second, Joy?
Campbell.
Yes.
Cruz.
Yes.
Ebert.
Yes.
Edens.
Yes.
Joy.
Yes.
Rodenberg.
Yes.
Ryman Yost.
Yes.
We are adjourned.